Cool. So we are in conversation with Ria from Neuphony. Neuphony. We are in conversation with Ria from Neuphony, and today we are going to just delve into the startup. How did they launch? How did they get into it? And we have a surprise plan for you guys. We are going to do a little bit of analysis of me while playing poker on the device. Let's see how this journey goes. Tell me a little about Neuphony. Neuphony.
Yes. So Neuphony actually stands for neurons and euphony.
Okay.
Euphony as in music. That music has the power to change your brain, and that's where Neuphony as an amalgamation comes in together. Me and my husband Bhavya started this company in 2020. It's when it got incorporated. But in 2019, we decided that this has to be a startup. It's dedicated to my late sister, who had a brain infection and was diagnosed with multi-drug resistant meningitis infection, and it was untreatable. Like, it was not working. She was there in the stroke ICU for 5 months, and it just seemed wrong that she's there for her brain, but her brain is not getting monitored. And that's how me and Bhavya kind of started getting into it. Thankfully, or I don't know what to call it, Bhavya's company at that time, another team was working on this concept, as in this technology.
Okay.
And he just got intrigued, went to Germany to do his masters. That's where I was based. And then he's always been passionate. Like, I remember like 10 years back, he was like, either I'll become a teacher or an entrepreneur. And I was like, they are so different. And he ended up being an entrepreneur and took me with him basically into this journey.
This is actually really interesting because I used to also say this: either I'm going to be a professor or an entrepreneur. And I'm a college dropout. So I've dropped out of 3 different colleges and I didn't even complete my education, but I got to be a professor because I'm a poker coach. So I've coached like 40, 50 different people over 4 years in poker itself. And now I'm starting Flying Dog TV. So I became both. So it was a really fun thing to know that he also thought similarly. Yeah.
And he's also, by the way, he dropped out of his masters. When he was pursuing this, he found his thing and then left it. Like, he was like, okay, I found my, I don't know what you will call it. I found my thing, and I don't think so I need an education to kind of validate or just quantify it as a matter of fact.
So I went for a smoke with him downstairs and he was telling me about the first startup that he had, the first failed startup, and after that he started working. And then when you guys were moving out of Germany, he came across this 13 different ideas, this note that he had about different startup ventures, and he was telling me about the journey. And you guys have been dating since
11 years now. And there is a card that I have, which I gave him as a first year anniversary gift, which was his name on a company. At that time, we called it RMB Technologies, that someday you will become a entrepreneur. And there was co-founder, and my number as well is there. And like, I still have those cards. And
you wrote yourself as a co-founder in that, and your number was...
As a co-founder, I just gave my number. I was like, Bhavya is the founder of RMB Technologies.
कुछ होगा तो अपना number तो डाल ही देती हो ना.
R stands as Ria, and then that's the number. Like, nobody in my team also knows that. Like, but I knew like he had it in him. I just thought like my father is an entrepreneur. My dadaji was an entrepreneur. I hated it.
Yeah.
I was like, these people have no life. These people have too much risk. There's no stability. And I just couldn't, I was like, I couldn't understand who would do this to them.
And that's what your life is now. Whenever I have messaged you in the few times that I have, it's either you are in one city or the other, or back-to-back meetings, or how's that coming along for you?
Thrive on it now. I couldn't and wouldn't want to change it. Like, I thrive on it. Like, I'm here, this weekend I'll be in Goa, the next weekend I'll be in South Korea, and that's what I love. Like, I get to meet so many different people, cities, culture, and talk about mental health. Like, I've talked about it so much that I've actually become like passionate. I want to change. Like,
does it happen the other way around also? Like, you've spoken about it so much that you're so sick of it that in your free time you don't want anything to do with it. Does it work the other way around too at times?
No, like, I'm very, like, if it's difficult not to assess your family now. Like, their mental health, and keep your aspect away from it. So now if you come to harm me, I'll be like, it's okay, because I know that this is coming from this place and it's completely fine, and I'll start convincing you to do something about your mental health rather than getting affected by it. So now it's become like, but I have to stop sometimes doing that, because
backlash from Indian families.
you can't assess your family's mental health and tell them, okay, Papa, I think you should go for therapy. Mummy, I think you should do this. Please have a work-life balance. Please try to keep privacy. These words for that generation.
They're trigger words. They're trigger words, and I think this is a mistake that I have done. I beach mein tried to coach my mother so much that now whenever I bring a little bit of you should work on this or work on that, she gets super defensive, because in the past I have badgered her so much in a way कि आप ये करो, आपके लिए अच्छा है, आपके लिए अच्छा है, कि आप वो मैं बस बोलना शुरू करता हूँ, तू कुछ ज्यादा ही समझदार है, हाँ तू ना चुप ही रह, तू मेरे को अपना दिमाग ना अपने ऑफिस में छोड़ के आया कर, यहाँ पे ना मेरे साथ माँ की तरह ट्रीटमेंट करने के लिए आया कर.
Same. I have actually heard the same sentences from my father that this is not like where you do the mental health assessment. I'm not one of your clients. Don't pitch Neuphony to me. So I get that.
So you guys recently featured in Shark Tank, and you guys got an investment too. So how much did you guys get an investment for, and how was that experience?
We got 1 CR. We got from Aman and Piyush.
Okay.
And they were the ones actually who I wanted the funding from.
Right.
We also got it from Namita and Anupam.
Right.
But they wanted us...
you also got the funding from them or an offer from them?
Offer from them.
Okay.
Offer from
What percentage did you guys give out?
So basically for us it was somewhere around... the percentage was subjective to the valuation that would have come out after the due diligence.
Right.
Because last year we raised a round of 2.5 CR at a 15 CR pre-money valuation.
Okay.
That makes it 17.5 post. So now we told them at the stage that the valuation has to be subjective and respective of our previous investors. I'm not going to ask a 4x valuation or jump anyways, and even if I ask, it wouldn't have come, which I did, by the way. So it was decided that they will give us the valuation which makes sense. So somewhere around 20 CR pre-money.
So 5 CR more than your previous round of investment.
Exactly.
And how long back was the previous round of investment?
It was last September.
Last September. So in about a year.
About a year.
It's a lot of times like it's a great miracle if you're able to maintain that same price also for Shark Tank investors. As I've seen Shark Tank abroad a lot more than Indian. At least that's what happens there. I'm not sure with the Indian Shark Tank if that's how it goes.
It just becomes more easier. Obviously, there are possibilities where the sharks would be like, okay, this does not make sense, so I'm not gonna invest.
Right.
But rather they were like, okay, we want to invest, and since you raised around there, so we are gonna compromise on that.
Right.
Because if they were like somewhere in the middle ki karna hai, nahi karna hai, they would have been like, chal, let it leave, this is too big, and this completely does not make sense.
Right.
But obviously the startup makes sense. We have very esteemed investors from our previous round, which is IM Ahmedabad, Derby Foundation Bangalore, Venture Center Pune. Where
Have you been incubated by any of these as
all
well?
3 of them.
All 3 of them. Does incubation work like that? Like, can multiple people be incubating
Yes.
you? Doesn't that conflict arise in...
Not really. So there are different ways. So our actual incubation had happened in Germany, where
Right.
we really incubated and created the product.
Right.
But now, when we came to India and raised the funding, our product was already there and stable. We were just growing and making some changes. So there, the incubation was not like as a product development incubation, but more like a business support incubation, which obviously multiple people can do.
Just training you as an entrepreneur completely. How do you go about things? How do you solve problems?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
they on that, on market validation, on how do you want to capture the market, like is going to psychotherapist the right measure right now, or there's already anyway too stigma attached to the therapy world that you might not want to be considered as a psychotherapy product. You
Right.
might want to be considered as a wearable product,
Right.
which may or may not be used by psychotherapists, but not
Right.
something that is recommended by psychotherapists,
Right.
because the other segment of the people wouldn't want to use it.
Right. It might get that kind of taboo by itself that it's used by, especially in a country like India, तो mental patients use करते हैं type का एक outlook बन सकता है.
God, I can't even tell you like how many times I just like there's this word called as like pagal, which just pushes me like off the edge. Like it's very like it depends on who I'm talking to and how strongly I would react. Like there was this one particular news channel person who was talking to me and he was like कि भाई ये पागलों के लिए यूज करने के लिए मैंने कहा
Oh God, they literally asked you ये पागलों के लिए use करने के लिए.
there was this, it was long back, I think a year back or something, and I was like, नहीं ऐसे नहीं है. I replied very politely, and then the second time again he asked. I was like, नहीं ऐसा आप जैसे लोगों का इलाज करने के लिए डिवाइस बनाया गया, because no, it's not for. What does pagal even mean? Like, as a matter of fact, what does it even really mean?
Right.
It's just calling everybody fat, independent of how you understand that where this person is coming from. Like, it's possible that the person has thyroid, it's possible that the person has PCOD, it's possible that the person is already on medications which resulted into this.
Right.
So it's not that it's a bad lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's possible that there's a medical condition attached to it.
Right.
So you need to be sensitive around that. And obviously, like, I know that 7 years back, PCOD was not even a thing. Like, people didn't knew, my parents didn't knew, my
Right.
friends didn't knew, I didn't knew what PCOD was. So that awareness eventually came.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping, that eventually in 5 years the mental health awareness would also be understandable.
And at least in the more privileged segments of society around the world, neurodivergence and neurotypical behavior is taking forefront of conversations, is because of this only. They don't want to, like, पहले अगर ADHD हो, OCD हो, कुछ भी हो, उन सबको पागलों की कैटेगरी में कैटेगराइज कर देना होता था.
हाँ, not just ADHD, autism, any sort of situation. भाई दिमाग है, हमें तो पता नहीं होता, दिमाग में कुछ भी हो जाए तो पागल है. ये क्या बात हुई? मतलब मेरे को बुखार है, मेरे को वायरल है, मुझे डेंगू है, मेरे को थायराइड है, ये सब सारी चीजें एक थोड़ी हुई. तो how can your brain be considered as this? It's a spectrum. EDHD is also a spectrum. How can you consider all of these under the same umbrella?
Exactly.
So that does not make sense at all, and that's something that I personally have taken it कि भाई यार इसके तो against ही जाना है, मतलब इसको तो change करके ही रहना है. Like, no matter what happens, like in 2 years I want to make sure that nobody is using this word.
Yeah. So when I was really young, I think back in first grade or something, or second grade perhaps, my parents were called to the school once for me being hyperactive, for ADHD. It was called by the counselor. I'm so glad they called her. But once my parents were there, even though my parents have always been super progressive and super liberal and super open for other things, the first time they heard that from the counselor, they did not want me to be on any medication or any therapy, because their reaction was also कि मेरा बेटा पागल नहीं है, आप ऐसे कैसे establish कर सकते हो, ये कैसे कर सकते हो, वो कैसे कर सकते हो. But on the flip side, at the same time, my mother understood even from the very beginning. She knew, like, for example, when I learned ABC, instead of learning ABC straight up, I learned ABC for the first time the back way around. ZYXWBUTSRQP ORMLK JIG FEDCBA. So these are the type of things that I indulged in while growing up. And my mother always encouraged me for these things instead of scolding me, because she could tell that's some level of neurodivergence in my behavior.
Exactly.
But I wish that they had taken the advice of that therapist a little more seriously, because I paid a very long price of my hyperness and acceptance of that towards the society. Now, as I've grown up, I have calmed myself a lot more. I'm still hyper, still full of energy, but compared to what I was, and that only happened after I got awareness of that, using things like Muse, going for Vipassana, coaching myself. Mental health is what really made me center myself. So I'm actually really curious and very behind technology, which is onto biohacking or coaching yourself or better improvement.
And I'm so glad that you at that particular point of time were able to understand that, and understand how simple measures such as like biohacking
Right.
and that holistic techniques, meditation, music, breathing, could really help you
Yeah.
have a control and sense of that. All you have to put is get an insight into the world,
Right.
get data,
Right.
obviously, which is important. Like, see how smartwatches have kind of made physical health so attractive.
Right,
Just 10,000
yeah,
steps,
yeah.
you gamify, you can reach. Exactly.
Yeah. Gamification of everything.
Everything. And that's what we do with Brain. Like today itself, I was having the conversation with one of the investors where they were like, who are these people who want to go into self-improvement? Who are these people? Are these people with some sort of conditions? And I'm like, no, these are people who just want to become better at whatever they do. It could be work, it could be anything. Do you want to become a better dancer? Is that even a question? Obviously you would want to become better. Nobody,
Right.
if you're too comfortable, that's not a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's, everybody says that, right?
Exactly.
Comfort should not be considered as a good thing. You should always challenge yourself, blah blah. All these things are important, and that's where I think you, like, is there 100% with regards to your brain? No. We also, what we do is we kind of once you reach a level, once your average focus becomes 70, we change the complexity level, that your 70 becomes now 50,
Right.
And then you can again go and
You change the benchmarks for yourself continuously so that you can compete with yourself.
Exactly, and we don't compare your data to my data. That's like one thing which I'm against as a kid when I was there, because my parents used to compare, my friends' parents used to compare them with me, and nobody wanted to talk to me because I was like, अरे इसकी वजह से तो मेरे parents से डांट खाने को मिलती है.
Right. So, do you think there's a conflicting view also in that? For example, I have also thought a lot about this. So, a lot of these new age tools that are coming out that are focused on mental health more and more, they avoid the metric of comparing your data with the average or other way, so that people don't feel too bad or good, or they're not different results. I do understand that perspective completely, but at the same time, on the flip side, I can see the benefits of being compared to a regular benchmark also, so that you can plan your life around it. It's very difficult in the bias of the world that exhibits right now. That's for true. In an ideal world, it could be used better, but there is some scope of using it better. So
100%. So it's always good to know, because for some people it might pique the interest. Oh, I want to become better. Okay, I'm here. Some people might take it positively, but some people might not.
Right.
And that is something that who should I give this power to?
Right.
Should I give it to yourself? But then I'm a person who's very competitive.
Right.
So I'll always be like, okay, do I want to do
Amy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes, that
Is that an app description for you?
very apt. That combined with Monica, combined with I think a little bit of Amy from Big Bang.
With the millennials and the Gen Z population, that TV series references is how we do it.
Yes, that is me. Like you were complete hyperactive plus OCD plus those bookkeeping. Like I actually had my notebooks.
Oh man,
colored and
so
highlighted.
I'm not OCD at all, and I can't imagine being hyperactive ADHD and OCD together, because they're both working in opposite directions. One is a downer, one is an upper in a certain way.
I am my personality was obsessive compulsive, which is completely.
Obsessive compulsive, even I am, but not for regular order of things.
A little bit.
Like when there's a new idea, I'm next level obsessive about it. I won't sleep, eat, bathe, do anything, be obsessed.
I am like that. Plus, I'm also like a little bit controlish with regards to my surroundings.
Right.
Like when I get agitated and when I'm like helpless and I'm getting angry, like I clean this shit out.
Right.
Like even with everybody's like, हम दिवाली की सफाई अब क्यों कर रहे हैं?
It's a rebuilding therapeutic.
It is.
It's. I'm going to change myself from today. It's a new beginning kind of.
It was not about myself. It is I can't control things around me, so I need to control something, and the things that I can control would be around me. So like I remember in Germany, like eve teasing is pretty common here in India.
Right.
I had never experienced it in Germany.
Right.
I did experience it once when I was going to the metro station, and there was this guy who was following me, and I was all by myself. Right. And it was pretty dark, and I was like, I was numb. Right. And then I just crossed the road like running for my life kind of a thing. And I came back home. I was agitated. I was angry. And obviously I believe in the thing that if I could have done at some point, that point of time, it might have harmed me. It might have taught. I think in that way, like if I would slap you for eve teasing me, then the next thing that can happen with me is that you throw acid at me. Right. You know, like when we were growing, this many incidents happened so much that it put a scare inside of me. So I didn't do anything. I came back home. I was agitated, and it was 11:30 in the night, and I mopped the hell out of my house. Like I was like, don't talk to me.
Cleanse
just
your house out to have a mental cleansing for yourself.
I was like, I want to control. I couldn't have controlled that guy. I couldn't do anything to him, but I need to do something around me to change.
In my comfort space, I have the absolute control, so I'll make things according to myself over here.
Exactly. So for me, like I have that kind of control as well. Like for me, cooking is meditation. So when I get overwhelmed by work here, I cook.
In Corona, I realized how therapeutic cooking itself could be.
Yes, like yes. 1 kg pasta I had cooked, like I think it was last month, and I was like, we were 3 people. We ate for 2 days.
So talking about control and talking about being able to control your destiny or being able to control where you're heading or not, how was the experience of deciding whether you're going to put yourself in a public forum like Shark Tank for you? What type of thought processes did you go through? Because in the Shark Tank abroad or different places, we have seen fool made be made of companies and complete mockery, complete comes across the company could be tossed as a complete prank venture. Like, what were your thoughts around that?
Yeah, see, we didn't think all about all of that. What we thought was, see, for a company, this is a good platform, and you as founders have to do everything that you have to do to make it reach the, like, I felt like I deserved that platform to be able to put my company over there and make it heard in front of people. But so just that day, I was like all confident, all good. Everything was nice. I like to like keep my calm in situations because I know otherwise I'll get too stressful. That day I had a panic attack in the morning. Like, it was like there's too much at stake, you know, like it's like it could be, I could be bashed so bad that my sister's
that a mockery is made out of it.
Exactly, and my sister's name going too bad. So for me, my trauma kicked in at that point of time, and I have PTSD. So I was like कि okay, बेइज्जती तो होगी मतलब बहन का नाम भी नीचे लेके डूब दूंगी. तो that kind of thoughts came to my mind, and I was like, fuck. And I was in the van with other participants, and Bhavya was there at the back, and I was sitting in front, and I was like, I went through, but I have this very good control. Like PTSD taught me that in this meditation.
You can switch the flip.
But I don't avoid. I make myself go through the journey. So I flip some photos, which I don't, some music. I put all of that together in a combination, make myself feel the worst that I can, and then slowly and steadily come back out of it. And it when this happened, it took me, when in 2016 it used to take me days. Now it takes me 5 minutes.
This is the same thing that I also keep thinking quite often whenever I'm thinking of biohacking, that it's not that I don't want to feel things, it's just that I want to get over the process of it sooner. We spend majority of our life in a limbo processing things. अब breakup हो गया, अब ये हो गया life में, अब माँ के साथ लड़ाई हो गई, अब processing के लिए मुझे 1 महीना चाहिए, अब बच्चा पैदा हो गया, अब ये हो गया, वो हो गया, processing. Can we just not go through processing sooner and be done with it?
So like somebody told me not to use the word control, but I on the contrary like to use the word control, because I'm saying I'm giving you the control and the tools to be able to manage rather than be a victim of your thoughts. Because कि भाई thoughts जैसे लेके जाएंगे emotions के साथ बहते रहेंगे, नहीं. You can expedite the whole process and make it easier for you, because you have important things to deal with. It's nobody can be in that state. I didn't. Like, life goes on, and that is the unfortunate truth. Like, the first thing that I think, like, I asked my parents was like, so this is it, this is what happens, like somebody in your family dies and you have to just let go of the whole concept and work. Do I have to now go back to Germany and work? Like, I have to act like nothing happened? How do you do that? So obviously, unfortunately, life does go on, and but you need to be, you experience things, but you need to control, because you can't be the person who's vulnerable at a workplace. You can't be the person who just breaks down on the road. You can't be those. You have to make sure, and you can use it. And that's how I use the trauma aspect positive. I don't even know the right words to frame it, but that's how I kind of like fight with it.
Yeah, I get your sentiment behind it, and it's very difficult to use the right words all the same time, because
will be like, अरे ये बहन का फायदा उठा रही है या कुछ कर रही है.
I understand that. Yeah, might have been quite a journey. And while the Shark Tank process, what was that process like? Like, how did your applications go? When did you get a call back? What was the anticipation like? How did you prepare for your pitch? Was there any bad theater that's in the US Shark Tank? What do you do for all of that?
Okay, so one thing that you asked me was like, बेइज्जती. भाई इतनी बेइज्जती हुई ना, इतनी बेइज्जती हुई starting में, like when the shoot was going on, ours went on for 1.5 hours or something like that, and I was like, यार इतनी बेइज्जती कर दिया यार, घर ना चेक के साथ भेज देना बस, मतलब बिना चेक के मत भेज,
एक redemption दे देना यहाँ पे.
पता चले घर जाके रियलाइज हो भाई बहुत, मतलब मार्केटिंग भी नहीं हुई, लोग खरीद भी नहीं रहे, बेइज्जती ज्यादा हो गई है. तो पेरेंट्स को कैसे मुंह दिखाएंगे कि यार नेशनल टेलीविजन पे जाके धजियां उड़ा कर आते हैं. That was happening during like the pitch. So it was a very wholesome experience. Now coming to the process part of it.
How was the process, the preparing?
We were told 15 days prior कि यार तुम लोगों ने आने और shoot के लिए. Those 15 days the whole team was here in office days night. My home had become like a dharamshala, and जो 12-12 1-1 बजे के बाद तक रुक रहा था वो सबको हम घर लेके जाते थे.
I know that feeling. My house is a dharamshala right now. You have seen my house. The production house is inside. We are having shoots day and night.
The same exactly. गद्दे बिछे पड़े हैं, जिसको जहाँ काम है दीदी आके 10-10 12-12 लोगों का खाना बना रही है. भाई ऑप्शंस हैं मल्टीपल, जिसको जो कंफर्ट फील हुए. चाय होलसेल में बन रही है कि भाई चाय के हमने केटल्स रख दिए थे कि so that people
दिन भर बन के भरते रहो क्योंकि अपने आप लगती रहे.
It was the whole team, and like I feel the timing was good because last year we didn't apply because we were not at that stage where I feel like I deserve this. But this year I'm at that stage where I knew that I deserve to be there and I deserve to get those checks. Like I have a wholesome team, we have everything. Like I couldn't have done this, like the whole 15 days ki prep. It could be marketing.
Technically, what was the prep that was required from your end?
Pitch. So like Bhavya was taking care of everything. So we were supposed to show a demo. Yeah. So those demo ka prep, the software that we wanted to show, and we showed actually, I'm not sure if it comes on the television or not, but there was this desktop application that was built in 15 days by my software team.
Oh, cool.
There were multiple head sizes.
You didn't have the UI UX prepared for it, and you guys...
We didn't have it planned at all. It was not a commercial thing that we wanted to do. It was just an experience thing that we wanted to build for the Shark Tank. It's real time moods going up and down, positive, negative and neutral. Okay. Showing you real time on the desktop application. Now that was prepared in 15 days. The hardware team built hardwares themselves, like of different head sizes, colors, transparent.
When I'll be playing poker right now, would those moods be also shown in the device? Based on if I won a pot or lost a pot, how's my internal mood reflected?
We can do that. I have to check with Bhavya. We can do the desktop version as well. Exactly.
Because one of the things to be a poker player and how this headband can help me is, like I keep telling myself, I have to keep a state of Buddha in my head. The pots that I'm winning or losing in real time should not affect me, because the outcome doesn't matter of what's happening. The decision is what matters. If my mood swings, my capability of taking the right decision changes. So this would be really helpful if I can gauge internally how's my mood flipping with every pot being won or lost.
Definitely. And I have this very cool videos where we were in the back end also doing this, and I actually saw the desktop application in real on the in the preparation phase of the Shark Tank. Like we were there and we were just doing practice pitches and everything, and I was like, अरे ये तो mood बदलता है, अरे तुम तो happy हो गए, अरे तुम तो sad हो गए. I was also doing this and I was like developing, like Bhavya develops it, but me selling it is also an experience, because I also like, I also get fascinated and get to learn so much. Like I was not a biohacker. I didn't knew what biohacker was. I was like, I'm selling a neurofeedback product which does meditation and I'm going to sell it. And I believe in mental health, and I've learned that this can change you. But how do you change it? How biohacking really works? Like we did so many amazing experiments finding the stress performance curve. So example, in Big Bang Theory, there's this one particular episode where Amy tries to make Sheldon anxious, right, and his performance increases.
Because of anxiety.
Because of anxiety.
So different emotions have different impact on people. Exactly. For example, Anshul over here, my partner, Anshul, for him, he calls himself a crisis manager. So basically, if there is a lot of crisis going on, or there are extreme deadlines or extreme pressure, he'll be able to perform a lot better. And with me, is when I have complete mind space available, is when I'll be able to create the best of the product that I want to create.
You're like me and Bhavya.
Yeah. Except we are not dating. Neither.
But it would be a good combination. Just
Unfortunately, I'm straight. So it's not going to work out between me and you, Anshul. I'm sorry.
So that is an amazing experience. And
Right.
as a part of the preparation, we had to like pitch. I've been pitching for 1.5 years straight. I know how to pitch, but I don't know how to add the drama to it. So we prepared like a whole pitch.
So did you have a bad theater? Like what they show in US Shark Tanks?
Yeah, they will make you like prepare for the whole thing.
Right.
And they will so we were like we said this thing ki 3 Idiots में आमिर खान ने कहा था, काश यहाँ का स्ट्रेस नापने की मशीन होती. तो हमने कहा नेकी और पूछ.
And you guys did it in like a dramatic fashion. और हमने कहा नेकी और पूछ. Like full on.
It was Bhavya's dialogue, but Bhavya is like, I think Anshul, like straight line, no modulation. So they then made me say it so that it's like.
Yeah, if it were me and Anshul, I would be the one who would be doing Neki or Pooch Pooch.
Exactly, and I was like, यार मतलब कहते वो और एक sentence they had asked me to say was कि ये मेरे टोज से लेके मेरे सर तक सारा स्ट्रेस चला जाता है. मैं कहा टोज में स्ट्रेस होता ही नहीं है. As in, I am not gonna say this.
इतनी unscientific बात तो मैं नहीं करने वाली.
मैं कहा टोज से स्ट्रेस कैसे जाता है मतलब रोम I don't even know. I'm very bad at Hindi यार. I've lived abroad for 7 years. I'm bad at Hindi in general. Yeah. So I'm not gonna say anything जो मेरे को complications में डाल सकती है.
Right. So this was more like your preparation experience as to how did you prepare for it on an emotional level or as a challenging level.
Yes.
Technically, like what's the process of applying for Shark Tank? What are the minimum requirements? How do you make the cut? How do you get called, etc.?
So very frankly, we were invited to Shark Tank. So we were called to apply for it. I was procrastinating because I was like, yeah, I want my revenue numbers up to a certain extent. Before even I apply, because वो मेरी application reject हो जाएगी.
Right.
But they actually reached out to us on Instagram, Facebook and on my number to apply for Shark Tank. And they were like, कि नहीं इसी week करो. I'm like, अच्छा मैं करती हूँ. And that's how the process happened. I don't know what the shortlisting criteria is. But I know that apply no matter what. There are different startups and you can't obviously like you can't compare people, you can't compare startups because a fintech startup might be earning a lot more than a deep tech startup or an FMCG startup would be like doing amazingly well as compared to any other startup in India. So in that aspect of it, I don't know the shortlisting criteria. We were invited for it, but the process was you fill an application, then they ask you for the video. We recorded the video in English, thinking it's a normal pitch, but they were like, Hindi mein record karo. And I'm like...
And was the video also supposed to be dramatic and fun or just a regular introduction?
The first one was normal. The second one had to be dramatic and they asked us to kind of like pitch it in front of like the third round was like how you would pitch in front of sharks. So
was there anyone who came in to train you to make it more entertaining for TV?
No, not until now. So we made our team sit here and this was like call aa gaya, jana hai, team ko bithao और जैसे pitch करोगे वो करो. So we did all this music and everything here, recorded the whole thing, sent it out. They said, this is not the pitch that you have to do. You have to do this pitch one day before we were supposed to fly.
Right.
And then we were like, अच्छा ठीक है, like ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा. And then my panic started kicking in because अब तक then I was preparing and I was well prepared. I know what to do. I'm comfortable. This happened and then there was a Delhi round audition which we passed through. It was, and after that they I think it was a month or 2 months where they told us कि अच्छा ठीक है, we'll call you back 15 days prior to when you have to come for the shoot. So we were like, the call can come to us anytime between August to December. And we got this call and we were like, oh my god, we have to rush through the whole 15 days is too less to prepare for such a big platform. And it's not just your pitch, your clothes, what you wear, what you'll present, which color of Neuphony device, which mannequin, which banner, which poster, everything they will decide. And you have to send them options. This is the kapda I'm wearing. They were like, no, this is too blue, this is too pink, this is too yellow, and all those things. Okay. So, like for example, all the couple founders were somehow ended up wearing the guy as blue and the girl as pink. Every couple
as cliched as it can get.
Exactly. And I had an option of pink and blue, so they said, okay, yaar, you can't also wear pink, you wear blue. Yeah. That's how intervening their process is. And then once we reached there, they actually trained us. So they trained the pitch, the volume modulation, how you'll talk, how you'll move the chair, how you'll welcome, everything.
How long was the training process for
3 days.
3 days, and you had to perform the pitch again and again.
Again. So like from 8 to 12 in the night, we'll be there at the studio and just...
The judges weren't, the investors weren't, the sharks weren't there at that time.
Sharks don't know until the second I enter the hall. They don't know which startup is gonna be there. Otherwise, they'll do it.
So don't they? So on the TV, they show it like it's surprise. I have always wondered. Don't they get their time to do due diligence or anything? They have to believe whatever is being pitched to them.
Yes. Yeah. So example, what we know is that Yes, that is completely right, by the way, because otherwise some questions would not make
I
sense.
thought that this was a little,
No.
must be some information foresight.
I didn't even see the sharks until I entered the stage. Like
That
that's
is
how
pretty
far
cool if
it
they're
was.
maintaining that authenticity.
Yes. And we were there, and only after that the real DD happens. कि भाई ये
Right.
चलता है कि नहीं चलता, ये genuine है कि नहीं है, do you have all the certifications, and it takes like a very long 5 to 6 month process where they actually validate it. So they will invite you to your offices. We have been to Lenskart office, and that's where the real test happens. Like कि भाई चलता भी है कि नहीं चलता, वहाँ तो the concept of it is very interesting.
This is after the pitch.
after the
That, so the due diligence round does happen, but it happens after the investment has been made,
in those
and they can revoke the investment
Yes,
if
yes.
the.
It has happened in the first round where I think 60 or 80 startups were given funding, but out of it only 40 or 60 respectively got the fund, because the other 20, they were like I think the contract was something which they didn't agree upon.
Yeah, and orally it's so easy to misrepresent yourself, and then
Obviously, like in the DD something came wrong. Like I say I have a patent.
DD being sorry.
Due diligence.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
So in the sense, I say I have a patent, but if I don't have a patent, they'll catch it and they'll say.
And what is the patent on? You can get patent on so many different things. It's actually protecting your proprietary.
Exactly. So they
invention.
they literally, there'll be somebody who records. So there'll be somebody who's watching the episode real time, making sure each claim you made in those 2 hours, note it down, come to you after it and say, अच्छा आपने ये भी बोला था, ये का है, ये बोला था, ये का है, ये बोला था, ये का है. All of that happens after the episode, but until then you have no clue how they look, how they sound. And it was like that music na Shark Tank wala, that was the one that gives the chill, like
Goosebumps, yeah.
the goosebumps. Until then we were like, okay, our platform stage, okay, it was new because we've never been in front of a camera, somebody not telling us how to wear clothes, which clothes to wear, makeup and everything was done for us. So that was pretty exciting.
Right.
But it was like a completely like different thing.
That is pretty cool. And while your pitch is happening over there, how long did your entire pitch go on for, compared to how much would they end up showing on the TV of it? Like, what do you know about it? How different does it look in reality than on TV?
It was 1 hour 45 minutes. And there was like, I think they'll show 10 minutes, 15 minutes
Right.
maximum.
Right.
The whole, it's like there are a lot of questions that happen. Then when you give the demo, you pull the chair, the computer screen works or does not work. All of those get edited as a normal shooting process.
Right.
But we are not sure which parts would get cut, which parts get shown. We were not sure of it. But you are there, like this is it. There's no repeat. You don't get to repeat anything that you say or do there.
Right.
So
You can take some time in coordinating it in between that they'll cut out, but there's no repeat, there's no retakes of it.
The only thing is that when they asked us, see, I'm gonna give you an offer, Namita and Anupam, and Aman and Piyush said, we are gonna give you an offer. So we went out, called our financial advisor, then went back in and said, okay, this is our counter offer. And then that's when we decided to go with Aman and Piyush. So the whole
How did you end up picking them over the other two, and what's the thought process that was going on? And did you guys, you and Bhavya, have multiple of these conversations that what set of investors would you want, and did it go according to the plan that you had in your head?
Yes, like our plan was ideally to even have Namita in this combination. If
Right.
these three would have come, it would have been perfect because she would have been helped us with the future aspect of it, right?
Right.
Pharma, medical world, hospitals, and all.
And that was the initial plan when you had started, from what I remember.
But my path was like a consumer grade product and then a hospital grade product.
Yeah, getting that credibility and that experience is
Because
what this will
hospital
get.
बाद you can't become a consumer. No consumer would want to use a clinical product.
Right.
So our process was that, and hence Namita was important for us as a part of the combination, if ideally. But we were very happy with this combination because, like, you know, like in that pitch also, whenever I was getting scared, I was like getting anxious, I was looking at Piyush because he was like always genuinely like smiling. So for me, it was like, for me, that part is very important as an investor, that even if I'm messing up in the company or I'm scared or something, I can look up to my investors to help me out, and they should not be like people I'm scared of. And I am scared of my investors sometimes, but that's in my nature because I'm like 90% nahi aaya, shit teacher.
But even with that, being afraid, you want to be able to be in a state that you can free flow, have any conversation with them.
And that's what Piyush was giving me, that vibe. Ki, okay, I can like Okay, now I'll smile at you, I'll get the confidence, and I'm gonna face the
Who made you feel the most comfortable out of all of them over there?
For me,
And who made you feel the most uncomfortable over there?
comfortable Piyush,
Right.
most questioned Anupam. Question was Anupam, because he was asking so many questions, and not that his questions were not right, they were right. It was just that if it was a normal conversation with him, where I was off cameras, I would have like very calmly sit, explained, but I didn't have the time. I had to be short, quick, to the point, and like convince him with lesser words, and that's not one of my expertise. So that's where I was like feeling a little bit like, oh my god, what do I say?
And is there any list of questionnaires that they give you beforehand that you have to anticipate everything yourself, just like a regular pitch book?
Like my job from the day we got the call to the day we went there was to watch every possible episode as many times, collect questions, talk to as many people.
Whichever direction it can go into.
Whichever. Like, be ready for the worst, and obviously the best is happened too. But yeah, my job was only to look at pitches, read. Like I used to eat while watching Shark Tank, sleep while watching Shark Tank, get up and watch Shark Tank.
Right.
Like that was like my job. Every question, like every episode of Shark Tank India, I know, and only in those 15 days I watched everything.
And you have pitched to a lot of different investors from time to time. It's been a while that you have pitched. Compared to a regular pitch that goes on in some investor's office, compared to not the preparation, but that 1.5 that you were inside Shark Tank, how different was it compared to a regular pitch? Other than the fact that you're going to be on TV, or the pressure around it, how important it is. Other than that, just from the quality of the pitch, how was it different in terms of a pitch?
It's very different. So like if I tell you that I want to raise $1 million at a $10 million valuation, you will be like, oh, as an investor. But they'll be like, oh my god, everything is
every reaction is overblown.
And I was like, अच्छा यार ये तो बहुत ज़्यादा dramatic हो गया, मैं इसको क्या बोलूँ? I was like, you always look at their expressions for that TRP thing, and you have to be spontaneous. Like to a normal person, a normal investor, you're not trying to be sassy in an investor pitch. You are just trying to be genuine. But there you have to be sassy, you have to be fun, you have to give out the TRP. Like I think
one right size can make you viral, and one wrong size can really destroy.
Oh, I know. Like I was telling my team, yeah, I don't want to get viral because of my expressions, because they're like too loud.
You keep talking about it also, how they are completely transparent, or what you're thinking comes out on your face.
Yeah, and they're too like dramatic. Like my eyebrows specifically, they get like up and down a lot. So there I was like concerned कि यार एक तो मेरी meme बन जाएगी पहली चीज, वो पक्का, and they're like कि हम कोई और नहीं बनाएगा, हम बना देंगे. I was like concerned there, and the second thing was like I think Aman had told us कि I will invest if you convince Piyush. So and Piyush was like, how can you use this particular product? He had some questions around that, and we were like, see, we can do this, and he was like, हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं? We said, हम आपका आपका frames लेंगे for example, and Aman की branding लेंगे, like that's where we take the expertise from, and हम अपनी technology put करेंगे. Like what we bring into the picture is the technology space. So we bring our technology, his branding, and your wearable expertise and manufacturing units and all those things, and put it together. And then Namita was like, yes, I told you she's good at sales, and I'm like, am I good at sales? यार अभी तो नहीं हो रहा है. हो जाएंगे. But it was like, अच्छा, am I that good? And when we left there, and everybody was like, you should be a politician, and I was like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Like, was I that bad?
Depends on how you maneuver around it. It could be both, right?
Exactly. So this part we might, I don't know, it's controversial or not. But I don't know. Like I am what I am, and I was just like, see, they were like कि बोलना चाहिए नहीं बोलना चाहिए यार, जो है अब बोल दिया यार, देख लेंगे यार. We have people to handle all the controversies, so we'll take care of it. But it was like a very fun experience overall.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Very dramatic.
Yeah.
Very dramatic.
Cool. So I have 3 things in my mind what we could do for the to figure out the product or make more fun of this experience. Those three things that I'm thinking are, number one, I don't know if that is possible today or not, or we could do it some other day. That is actually doing a demo of the device, not from the point of view of how we did in the Bitch Perfect Tasmeen episode or otherwise, but actually having a discussion, a written plan as to how can this device be used to better yourself. So strategically, what do you measure, what do you not measure? Because I've heard a lot of things around it, but I'm still unclear about how do I exactly use it, because I haven't played with the device enough, right? So one, I was thinking that one of these days, either inside this office or at our studio, we could cover how do you use this device or to basically biohack or neurally program yourself better or increase your neuroplasticity or whatever the buzz and the non-buzz words are, whatever works best. One being that. Second being, let's take a little bit of a tour of the office and you tell us about how did you develop and who all you work with, and if we can have a dialogue or two with everyone a little bit. And third being the poker bit.
Oh yes, that I really wanted to do. Like,
you're going to be with us for the poker bit, or you'll have, because you told me you have a meeting.
yes, so I might take a call, but I might come and go on and forwards when you're doing the recording.
Right. I was really looking forward to doing it with you, because I thought that you were really descriptive when you were doing it with Tasmeen, and before that we did a little bit in the in my studio, so I had a lot of fun doing that.
So what we've done is we've planned.
We could wait also for your call. If you could do it with you, I think that will be a lot more fun.
Super, we can do that. What we've done is we've created an experiment for you where we collect data for you doing 5 activities.
Okay.
And then I'm going to explain how those 5 activities would work. Like I've done this with national level athletes, swimmers, bodybuilding, shooting. I've done with all of these experiments, and it's the end where I come in.
Okay.
Until then, we'll find your 5 scores, and then we'll tell you, see how during the poker your stress levels and focus levels are as compared to you normally, and how do you hack it and how does it change with the complexity of the game. So we've prepared an experiment for you since we had this conversation.
And next time when we have this conversation, if you can, try and develop a plan around it. Like I was telling you, I'm planning on going on this journey called Z2B, 0 to billion. Basically, I want to train myself to have a perfect billionaire's mindset, and as a byproduct, become a billionaire or a trillionaire along the journey, right? So basically, what I'm going to embark on is, like I was telling you, I'm someone who self-punishes himself. Oh my God, I will sound like such a Catholic Christian hurting himself with all. But my self-punishment is basically I shaved my head off a little while back, and I put some metrics on it based on if I will achieve these. Like suppose I'm waking up at 4 a.m. every day. I'm intermittent fasting every day. There's a scoring system that I had, a very complex scoring system that I had made on Notion, where there were weighted averages of different different metrics involved. And so there were basically 2 major goals in that. Number one, starting the foundation of the startup and starting the first phase of it, which is the production house Flying Dog TV that we are making this video for right now. So that I somewhat succeeded in. And the other one being at my peak mental and physical health that I was, say, about 2-3 years back, and better at that in fact, but I completely failed at that one. So I shaved my head off again. So now I'm looking for some cool metrics to judge myself on that. So using these equipments, if we can come up with some really cool metrics that in 3 months again from now, we can do another reevaluation. And if I'm able to reach those scores, great. Otherwise, I'll go bald in your office.
Okay.
I'll get a cleaner along with me.
It's okay, let's do that.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a challenge.
Done.
Anshul will shave my head off if I'm not able to in 3 months from now. He'll be very happy. So this is something, whenever I feel too attached to something at times, I feel like I really need to let go of this attachment. Otherwise, it's going to come in my way. So for example, the first time that I shaved my head off, it was by someone had put this thought in my head that you should shave your head off. And I have had, usually I have a very big afro for my hair. That's what my usual hairstyle is, and I was very attached to it, and I was like, why am I feeling this attachment? This is not good for life. So out of an instinct, I just ran into the washroom, picked up a trimmer, and there. Now I have to stop feeling attached to it. I have to be more chill and cool about it. So that's how I started doing that.
Like, I'm just thinking, like, I think some attachment is good because, like, my husband, Bhavya, has no attachment whatsoever. So, like, he's gone from having this big a beard and this big hair to having nothing here and nothing here. So it's like, he has, like, its hair will grow back. And I'm like, I'm very attached to my hair. Like, if you cut my hair, like, I think I cry. And I cried as a kid to make sure that my mom keeps my hair longer. But like he is like that, and I think some sort of attachment is good, but that's more of a, let's say, partner's opinion than a than a mental well-being professional's opinion.
Yeah, but as a poker player, I have to keep functioning at being as so in poker while I'm playing. Rather, there's one thing that I try to practice a lot. That is, I try to think of myself as not Tanmay who's playing poker. What I try to do is someone who's above Tanmay and he's looking at Tanmay playing poker. So basically, I try to not experience my emotions in first person, but try to experience them in third person, because I need to know what I'm feeling, but not let it affect me in my decision making process. So I'll give you a little more insight around these, and you can develop a cool program. How can I use the device to better all of that? And the next time that we meet, today we'll have the analysis and some fun around it. And the next time that we meet, we'll make a proper quantifiable goal that I have to achieve in the next 3 months, and you can come up with a program for me that how should I how should I train or use the device to achieve those goals.
Done deal. And we have like this desktop application where you can actually create different experiments, Stroop test, Sudoku, chess, different, and you can modulate what kind of feedback comes and goes. So that'll be a perfect plug-in into your system, and I have a resident neuroscientist, so we can just get this program created.
That sounds great. Chalo, let's take a tour of the office and let's see what's up.